Alright, so it's been a pretty dry week when it comes to music. I mean, what did we have? Some new Khalid that I reviewed, some new Polo G, and the continuing Travis Scott situation.
Got him!
But with all of this stuff that I don't care about anymore, there was also a pretty big drop from the upcoming electronic artist Arca, with not one, not two, not even three, but 4 whole new projects dropping last week called Kick. And while I don't usually listen to Arca as much as I should be, I'm definitely excited to check out this drop as I've been paying attention for a while to its release, though I didn't expect to be hit with this many drops at one time. But when running this channel I have to review music, and that's what I plan on doing, so I'm going to review all 4 of these projects in this video, and you're going to sit here and watch. So the first Kick, also known as Kick 2, is definitely something fresh for my ears and something totally out of the usual ranges you'd hear from most electronic artists, especially Latin electro artists such as Arca herself. In a way, it's messy, but it's like a good messy that keeps you entertained. And while this project isn't too long, there aren't many moments where I feel bored or I believe that it's being dragged out, with each track carrying its own weight in terms of that weird or all over the place style music. Tracks that I would say that really stood out to me would have to be Muñecas, with it being this ambient sound while constantly repeating the phrase "tan muñecas," while getting the constant narration from Arca in this robotic tone that would really seem weird to some listeners, or what a person would call hoe-scaring music. But to me, I feel the simplicity is something that makes it good enough just to sit back and not try to dissect, but instead just take it as it is. Another track that I would like to point out would have to be Born Yesterday, featuring the singer Sia, and I gotta say that this is definitely my favorite song off the album. At first it seems like your basic EDM sound that you'd hear from the other artists, but it kinda gets twisted into this emotional vibe that seems kinda poetic. I feel the instrumental was exceptional and that Arca and Sia worked very well with each other. Overall, while this project is not the best in this series, it's still a great project nonetheless. Alright, so for the second installment in the Kick series, Kick 3 is definitely a big shift from what I heard before previously with Kick 2. It seems more louder and more all over the place than the previous project, making me want to question the direction it's going, but at the same time I kinda see how it could be interpreted. There are some points within this project that make it seem rebellious and wild, as if it's some sort of statement, but I don't want to read too deeply into it. Although the first 2 songs kinda prove what I'm saying, with Arca going in with this confident lyricism on these messy and somewhat hyper techno beats that I thought was interesting, but when looking at it from an overall perspective, the song still falls short for me. But I suppose with this album, one thing I do feel I enjoy is that it feels like there's definitely more attention to Arca's vocalism that can complement the beats. Whether it be her quick rapping or sound bites being tossed around, she definitely knows how to work them throughout each song for something that fits the angle I assume she's looking for. Overall, Kick 3 is decent, but I feel the direction with it goes in and out of place sometimes. Not that it makes it bad, just needing work in my opinion. Now moving on to the 4th installment in the hoe-scaring series, let's take a look at Kick 4. Now as the last 2 projects go, this album takes another turn, this time utilizing trap and this electro ambient sound for these more slower and melodic tracks that I do enjoy, mainly because I'm a sucker for ambient music. See, when listening to the Kick albums, I feel like each one takes a different narrative for Arca, starting out as this more high energy and ready for anything feeling, to this confident rise in arrogance, but then falls down into these slower and more emotional tracks for something that feels like the end of the climax towards the story, but not completely the end of the tale. It feels as if I'm being spoken to directly with songs such as Queer and Horror Song, really dishing out these narratives on what I believe to be Arca's shoes. But when taking everything in, this is a pretty good project, and I would say on equal par with Kick 2, this time taking what seems to be a completely opposite direction from the latter. It has the right elements for me to enjoy with this more darker and melodic tone, alongside some piano and vocals here and there to really help dramatize the narration that I see this project going with. So overall, it's pretty good. Okay, so we finally made it to the last installment in the Kick series with Kick 5. Now this one seems to take the ambient sound we heard in the previous Kick and really utilize and dramatize it with these really simple and slow tracks, accompanied with some wonderful singing from Arca that makes everything come together pretty well. The song Tierno has to be my favorite on this album, with it feeling like an emotional piece, really rolling with the vibe that this album is going for. When looking at the project all throughout, it seems like a signification of the end of the Kick series, with everything seeming like some sort of grand conclusion to this musical story. I'll say that I like this project a lot as well, but not on the same scale that I would see the other Kick albums. This one feels more like something that sits in its own range, really separating itself from the others. While it's not as dramatic or bouncing between styles as the other albums, the fact that it sticks within this theme consistently, seeming like each song connects with each other perfectly, I would say is great in its own right. But overall, each one of these albums were decent to very well made. I feel as if Arca did a splendid job with some, but with others it did feel a bit lackluster and didn't have that kind of direction that I expected. But still, as I stated before, I believe that it carries some sort of theme, going from this hype and hard-hitting electronic sound to this ambience and piano sound is truly something to behold. I like their vocals as well as enjoyed the features on this project too. It's as if you can tell that there was some sort of hard work put into these projects, and that's why I can give it such high praise. So to put these on a scale, I'm giving Kick 2 a 8 out of 10, Kick 3 a 6 out of 10, Kick 4 a 8 out of 10 again, and lastly Kick 5 a low 9 out of 10. With this being a wonderful piece of work from Arca, and I'm excited for whatever she has in the future after this collection. But how do you guys feel about the new Kick installments? Which one is your favorite? Let me know down in the comments while liking and subscribing. Make sure to follow my IG and Twitter. And if you like the illustrations used in this video, make sure to follow the artist as well because she's dope. And oh yeah, make sure to follow my second channel, Wallow's Gaming, for more content outside of music. And on that note, I'll see you on Friday for another album review. Peace.
I have a coat indoors, like nobody's gonna fuck with me.
Facts, dude. How are you?
Roar XD, bro.
What the